Horror Lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you. I'm your Wednesday night host here at BodyBags. It is week 368. It is Random Week, and therefore it is Italian Week. So this week I bring you Umberto Lenzi's Nightmare City from 1980. Man, what a film, what a film, what a film, what a film. Let's just start with the Arrow release. What a phenomenal release. And, it's great because they talk about the issues of film transfer like almost immediately. And really there are two ways of viewing this film via the Arrow release. The restored version, which still retains some issues stemming from the original negative. And then a transfer which gets rid of most of the issues, but loses resolution. So it's really your choice. A much crisper, better looking film, but with some issues along the way, or get rid of all those issues, but your resolution's lost, and so it's a softer film, as they say, right? So anyways, right off the bat, I mean, that's the beauty of Arrow, right? Dealing with film transfers and educating you about the process. But anyways, that aside, man, this film, man, let's just get right into the cast here. Hugo Stiglitz, Mexican actor. This film is an Italian, Spanish, Mexican production, and therefore part of those inner workings and dealings and whatever, he needed a Mexican actor. So Hugo Stiglitz, came in with, pretty big time actor, and but what's curious is, had those demands not been put upon Lenzi, it is said that maybe, perhaps, Franco Nero would have been in this film, and that would have been pretty freaking cool too. But anyways, really there are three pairs of characters that this film revolves around. Stiglitz, who plays Dean Miller, he's an American journalist who works for a TV studio there. I was going to say Laura Trotter as Dr. Ann Miller. That's his wife in the film. Then you got Maria Rosaria Omaggio, I think is how you say it. Sheila Holmes. And of course, Francisco Rabal plays Major Warren. Mel Ferrer is the General Murchison. And of course, his daughter, Jessica, played by Stefania Mario, I think is how you say it. But anyway, so the film really revolves around three pairs. You got this American journalist who's there working in Italy or in Europe, undisclosed city, I think. And then of course his wife who works in the hospital. You've got this major and his wife, and the major is sort of he's sort of in between these worlds of the general who wants to just lock everything down and not let anyone know. You got the journalist who is trying to basically warn the city that you better get out of Dodge real fast. And this major who just sort of sits in between these two worlds. And really what you have here at the heart of it is not a zombie film, as Lenzi will point out over and over and over and over. This is an infected film. This is about a nuclear power plant that, as a result of a leak, some scientists who are sent there to kind of ascertain what's going on, they'll get on a military transport. They've been infected. They'll infect the military personnel on there, and the plane will take off. And this is where you sort of catch up with Dean Miller, this American journalist played by Stiglitz. He'll show up with his buddy there at the airport to basically get a interview with this one head honcho scientist. Unbeknownst to any of them, this military plane, as it's kind of descending out of the sky, it's carrying a contagion of sorts that is about to just absolutely run amok and just absolutely destroy this city. And it's one of those films that, man, it's like, and I gotta say this, I may just try to swerve around the ending. Most of you are familiar with this film. You understand the controversial aspect of the ending. But I'm just going to kind of play it like that instead of just laying it out there. Just on the chance that no one's ever seen this movie, I'm going to leave the end as sort of a surprise. But I do want to speak to the end. Just in terms of, this is one of those films that if you're a fan of Nightmare Logic, if you're a fan of Fulci, or Phantasm, any movie that really brings in nightmare logic, this movie is probably better on multiple viewings, knowing the end, going back with the end in mind, and watching it as it unfolds. It is a very disjointed film where even these three pairs of major characters, they never really get connected in this film by anything really. And so you basically got this city that is falling apart due to this infection, this contagion. You've got this journalist who initially at the beginning of the film tries to basically get the message out there. He's shut down by the military, the general. He won't have any of it until he gets this thing locked down. But there's no locking this thing down, man. It just gets worse and worse and worse. So eventually he'll need to go try to get his wife, who works in a hospital. That whole layout, man, seeing that hospital overrun by the infected is pretty chilling, man. Now, I'm going to say this movie comes across to a lot of people as, it can come across as pretty cheesy, pretty goofy, but because of the score by Stelvio Cipriani, it does have its moody moments, man. Especially, this is one of those movies that just gets better as the movie rolls, towards the half and past the half. On towards its end. It just gets better and better and better, and it does become very moody, even creepy at some points, and actually quite disturbing at a few moments. But there is a lot of cheesiness to go around. It is disjointed. It's just sort of chaotic. But then again, well, it all sort of has to do with the end of the film, and then it's sort of, you go back and you look at it from that point of view. And if you watch this film through the lens of nightmare or dream logic or whatever, nightmare logic, and you just accept wholeheartedly this sort of, I don't know, it's just a film that it just does not make sense at certain points, but then again, is it supposed to? And this really is, Lenzi says, this movie is about modern day society and how easy it is, due to an infection or a contagion, how the whole thing can begin to implode in out of itself, be it the military, the highest echelons of governments, the church, no piece of society is safe from something like this. And so I really do love movies like this, especially like The Wild Beast, which I reviewed here on BodyBags. I'm a huge fan of island horror. I love contained films like that where you get this island out in the middle of nowhere and like zombies, some really, really nasty stuff happens. But even I'm starting to become a growing fan of this whole, a city is under siege by whatever it is, a contagion, an infection, disease, whatever. And this movie, as it's sort of a cult classic, I guess. A lot of people, it does have its fans out there, and it does have those who just sort of, snicker at it, roll their eyes, look the other way. But if it's not for this film, probably, and it does have the running infected, I was going to say zombie, the running infected that we'll see again. And 28 Days Later, the Dawn of the Dead remake, we'll see it in Planet Terror. So this idea really sets the stage for the modern, call it infected / zombie film. It lays an early foundation. Now, one of the big fans of this movie is, of course, Eli Roth, and one of the reasons I love Arrow are the extras that they pack into here, where it's the commentary by Chris Alexander from Fangoria, which is pretty good, or the nice little 15-minute time you spend with Eli Roth, who is just showering this film in praise. As I said, Cipriani, this score is really unreal, and it does sort of, find some of its roots in other pieces. There's a little bit of, maybe a tiny splash of Goblin and Frizzy here and there, even Marconi. It is kind of it's sort of a goofy score in some parts. But this movie, like I said, it's probably got three things really going for it. Number one, it's the first running infected type film. This movie, man, when it begins, when that plane descends, which is really ominous in a similar vein as Zombie, when the ship comes into the harbor, or Contamination, or any film that begins with some device that's bringing chaos. Here, it's a military cargo plane, and once this thing lands and the doors come open, man, I'm telling you, it just unloads with the infected, and from there on it's just chaos. And then you just have some really, really cool set pieces along the way, and some of it are more contained set pieces than others. In the end, it's funny, this movie will find its ending in an abandoned amusement park, which is pretty, there's, I would say there's like three, I wouldn't call them twist endings by any stretch, but really there are there are three shock moments in this film towards the end. And one especially stands out to me in the amusement park scene. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. That still kind of gets to me. That is an unfortunate moment in the film, but it does add sort of, you know, this idea of cheesiness and that abounds in this movie. For, you know, it sort of runs slam into moments that are just really slightly even under the surface unnerving, man. It's interesting. It's a film that it's grown on me of late, like most Italian cinema has. And you know, I don't know if you know this, but Tom Savini and Lenzi, just as his name on producer credit, but this movie was supposed to be remade several years ago. They started a crowdfunding project, and Lenzi said one of the interviews on this Arrow release that at the time of the time that he was putting his interview down, I think he said it was $60,000-$70,000 crowdfunded, but this is years ago. And so for some reason the carpet just got pulled out from under the project, and I have no idea where this thing is at, but I really wish we'd find out. I really wish this thing could get going again. And it really has nothing to do with COVID, although maybe now it does. Beforehand, the carpet kind of got pulled out from under it way before COVID. And it's unfortunate. But it is an interesting film that really does depend on this idea of nightmare logic, which is really pretty cool. And I am a huge fan of that. I absolutely love it. My films do not have to be clear black and white across the board. I love City of the Living Dead. I love any film that is just nightmarish in quality, that doesn't expect you to, you know, that doesn't follow a linear path, I guess. I don't need a linear path to follow, man. I'm just give me some images, give me some really, really, really conceptually interesting ideas that I can just have fun with in my mind. And this is definitely one of those movies where you could see this is horror, man. I mean, for a plane just to descend out of the sky and bring this level of chaos and watch this entire city start to implode in on of itself is freaking frightening, man. And especially, we live in a world today where the idea of infectious diseases is becoming, you know, as much of a reality as it's ever been, and it's becoming quite frightening. Yeah, so anyways, interesting film. Interesting film. Just as a side note, the special effects, there's two guys involved who would go on to work with a lot of Fulci stuff later in Fulci's life. Lenzi, of course, we know Lenzi and his filmography, and then the score is unreal. But it is a fun movie, and Arrow put out an absolutely outstanding release. But anyway, so I guess we'll just leave it at that, and yeah, so man, just appreciate the support. Hopefully, I think we're getting closer to theme week, which ought to be fun. And again, appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate it is you and you alone that allows us to do what we do. And we appreciate that here at BodyBags. And just be plugging into everyone else's reviews as they fall throughout the week. It's been a pretty awesome week, and every week is awesome. And as always, man, as the football season descends on us, always leave these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.